What if I told you that one of the world's richest inventors became a billionaire because he refused to accept one simple problem? A vacuum cleaner that kept losing suction. It sounds almost ridiculous. After all, how could a household appliance create a billion-dollar empire? But here's the unbelievable part. Before changing the industry forever, this man failed 5,126 times. For 15 years, he built prototype after prototype. He drained his savings. He was rejected by major companies. People questioned his sanity, and yet he refused to stop because he believed something that everyone else ignored. Sometimes the biggest opportunities are hidden inside the problems people have learned to live with. This is the story of James Dyson. Long before his name became a global brand, James Dyson wasn't chasing wealth. He was chasing perfection. Born in England in 1947, Dyson grew up with an endless curiosity about how things worked. While other children played with toys, James was more interested in taking things apart just to understand the engineering behind them. That curiosity eventually led him to study design and engineering, where he developed a simple philosophy that would shape the rest of his life. Never accept bad design. If something doesn't work well, fix it. If it can't be fixed, build something better. Early in his career, Dyson helped develop an innovative product called the ball barrow, a redesigned wheelbarrow that replaced the traditional narrow wheel with a large rolling ball. The design made it easier to move across rough ground, and the product became a commercial success. For many inventors, that achievement would have been enough. For James, it was only the beginning, because success had taught him something important. Every product around us exists because someone accepted the way things were. Real innovation begins when someone refuses to accept them. That mindset would soon lead him to an ordinary household appliance that millions of people used every week without asking a simple question. Why does my vacuum cleaner become weaker every time I use it? Most people blamed old age. Others assumed it was simply normal. James Dyson wasn't convinced. One afternoon, frustrated by yet another weak vacuum cleaner, he decided to take the entire machine apart. What he discovered changed his life forever. The problem wasn't the motor, it wasn't the electronics, it wasn't poor maintenance. The real problem was the dust bag itself. As dust collected inside the bag, tiny particles clogged the material, restricting airflow more and more with every use. The fuller the bag became, the weaker the suction became. In other words, the vacuum cleaner was designed to become less effective over time, and manufacturers had very little reason to change it. Every replacement dust bag generated more profit. Customers accepted weaker performance, then bought more bags. Everyone benefited, except the customer. James looked at the machine and asked himself one question that would change everything. What if a vacuum cleaner never lost suction at all? Determined to find a solution, James began searching for ideas far beyond the world of household appliances. Then, by pure coincidence, he noticed something remarkable. While visiting a local sawmill, he saw a giant industrial machine removing fine wood dust from the air. But unlike ordinary vacuum cleaners, it didn't use a bag. Instead, it used centrifugal force. The machine spun air at extremely high speeds inside a cone-shaped chamber. The heavier dust particles were pushed outward by the spinning motion, falling into a collection container while clean air escaped through the center. It was called a cyclone separator. The moment James saw it, his mind started racing. If this machine could separate tons of sawdust every single day, why couldn't the same principle work inside a vacuum cleaner? The idea sounded simple. Building it was anything but. Industrial cyclone systems were enormous. A household vacuum cleaner had to fit inside someone's closet. Shrinking that technology without losing its power became one of the greatest engineering challenges James had ever faced. But challenges never scared him. He returned home and transformed his workshop into a laboratory. Every morning began the same way. Sketches, measurements, metal, plastic, glue, testing, failure. Then he would do it all over again. One prototype became 10, 10 became 100, 100 became 1,000. Years passed, still no breakthrough. Friends quietly wondered why he refused to move on. Some believed he had become obsessed. Others thought he was wasting the best years of his life chasing an impossible dream. Even financially, the situation became painful. Without investors or major manufacturers supporting him, James funded the project himself. His savings slowly disappeared. His family lived with constant uncertainty, never knowing if the invention would ever succeed. Every failed prototype consumed more time, more money, more energy. Yet every evening James returned to his workshop, not because he enjoyed failing, but because every failure answered a question. Most people see failure as proof they're going in the wrong direction. James saw failure as evidence that he was getting closer. Years later, he would famously explain that every mistake eliminated another possibility. Each failed prototype taught him something the previous one couldn't. By the time the journey finally came to an end, the number of prototypes had reached an almost unbelievable total, 5,127. Imagine spending 15 years solving a single problem that most people had simply accepted as normal. No guarantee, no investors, no audience cheering you on. Just an engineer who refused to believe that bad design had to stay bad. Then, after thousands of failures, one prototype finally worked. The suction never faded, the dust collected perfectly. And for the first time, James Dyson had built a vacuum cleaner unlike anything the world had ever seen. He believed the hardest part was finally over. He had no idea, like the real battle was only beginning. With a working prototype finally in his hands, James Dyson did what almost every inventor would do. He knocked on the doors of the biggest vacuum cleaner manufacturers in Britain and across Europe. Confident that they would recognize the value of his invention, he demonstrated a machine that solved the very problem customers had complained about for decades. The demonstrations were impressive. The technology worked. The results were undeniable. But one meeting after another ended exactly the same way. No? At first, James couldn't understand it. If the product was clearly better, why didn't anyone want it? The answer had nothing to do with engineering, it had everything to do with business. For decades, vacuum cleaner companies had built an incredibly profitable system around disposable dust bags. Customers didn't just buy the vacuum once, they kept buying replacement bags again and again for years. Those small paper bags generated millions in recurring revenue. James Dyson's invention threatened to destroy that business model. A vacuum that never needed replacement bags meant companies would earn less money after every sale. Ironically, the better his invention became for customers, the worse it became for manufacturers. One executive reportedly admitted that the technology was impressive, but changing the industry meant abandoning a business model that had been making companies rich for years. To them, the risk wasn't worth it. Years of work, more than 5,000 prototypes, and rejection after rejection. For many inventors, this is where the story would have ended, but James Dyson had already spent 15 years refusing to quit. He wasn't about to stop now. If no company wanted to build his vacuum cleaner, he would build it himself. There was only one problem. He had the invention. He didn't have the money. Starting a manufacturing company required factories, employees, suppliers, marketing, and millions of dollars he simply didn't have. Then, when almost every door had closed, one unexpected opportunity opened. A Japanese company saw something the rest of the industry had ignored. Instead of rejecting Dyson's cyclone technology, they licensed it and introduced the world's first bagless premium vacuum cleaner to the Japanese market. The product was unlike anything customers had seen before. It was sleek, powerful, and incredibly expensive. Many believed no one would ever pay that much for a vacuum cleaner. They were wrong. Customers quickly realized they weren't buying just another appliance. They were buying a machine that actually solved a problem everyone else had accepted. For the first time in years, James Dyson finally had something he desperately needed. Proof. Proof that customers valued innovation. Proof that great engineering could beat outdated business models. And perhaps most importantly, the royalties from Japan finally gave him enough money to chase his biggest dream, not licensing his inventions, but building a company with his own name on it, Dyson. In 1993, James Dyson officially launched Dyson in the United Kingdom. His first vacuum cleaner immediately stood out from everything else on the market. No bags, no loss of suction, no compromises. Customers who had spent years replacing dust bags suddenly discovered there was a better way. Sales began to grow. Then, they exploded. Within just a few years, Dyson became one of Britain's best-selling vacuum cleaner brands, forcing competitors to rethink products they had barely changed for decades. But James Dyson wasn't interested in building just another appliance company. He wanted to build a culture of relentless innovation. Instead of asking, how can we make this product cheaper, his team asked, how can we make this product better? That single mindset transformed the company. Dyson expanded beyond vacuum cleaners, introducing bladeless fans that looked impossible, high-speed hand dryers used in airports and shopping malls around the world, air purifiers, advanced lighting systems, and hair care products powered by digital motors that spun at extraordinary speeds. Every product shared the same philosophy: question assumptions, challenge old ideas, engineer a better solution. Today, Dyson invests hundreds of millions of dollars every year into research and development, employing thousands of engineers and scientists to solve problems most people never even notice. Its products are sold in more than 80 countries, and the company generates billions of dollars in annual revenue. James Dyson became one of the wealthiest inventors in the world, but his greatest achievement wasn't building a billion-dollar company, it was proving that persistence can outlast rejection. Think about his journey for a moment. One simple frustration, 15 years of relentless work, 527 prototypes, countless rejections, years of financial uncertainty, and yet, he never allowed failure to make the final decision. Most people think success belongs to those who never fail. James Dyson proved the opposite. Success often belongs to the person who is willing to fail one more time than everyone else, because every breakthrough begins the exact same way. Someone looks at a problem the world has accepted and refuses to accept it. Maybe that's the real lesson behind Dyson's story. The next billion-dollar idea isn't always hidden inside a brand new invention. Sometimes, it's hidden inside an everyday problem that everyone else has stopped noticing.